loves, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over some of the things that have helped me find my correct foundation. It's very difficult finding your correct foundation sometimes when you can't open or containers and there's no testers. If it's your first time, if you've never done it, it can be a very tricky situation for many reasons. A lot of you guys have asked me how to mix, how do I find my perfect shade, but there's also a couple things that you need to think about besides the color so that your foundation application is obviously a little more flawless. Skincare is always going to play a big role in this, so I do have a couple of skincare videos that I will link down below if you guys want to check those out. But this will be part one of the two videos I'm going to be making. In this video I will be telling you guys what to avoid, what to do, what to look out for, and what to stay away from for finding the perfect shade. And in the next video I will be sharing some of my favorite foundations and things that I have found that I feel are the best. Now keep in mind that these are my opinions and things that I have encountered and my tips. A lot of people might think differently, but for those of you guys that have asked, this is going to be my help to you guys on finding that perfect foundation. I'm going to start off with two things that you do need to make sure that you put in consideration before picking a foundation. You need to know your skin type. If you don't know your skin type, let me see if I can kind of break it down for you. Knowing your skin type is going to help find the correct foundation, because if you are dry, you need more of a dewy or glowy luminous foundation. Because if you buy a mattifying foundation or something that's more dry, your dry skin and a dry foundation are going to look flaky, cakey, powdery, patchy, icky. So you don't want that. So you have to make sure that you know your skin type. If you don't know how to tell your skin type, look at your skin and see, does it look dry? Do you have dry patches? Are you just normal? Do you get a little oily in the T-zone? Are you very oily? So for me, I'm normal, but I do get a little bit of the T-zone oil right here during the summertime, but during the wintertime I'm more dry, and your skin can change. A lot of skincare can also make that change, because if you're using something that's drying your face out, you might think you have a dry skin, but it can also be something that you're using. So always take those types of things into consideration, because I know that like witch hazel and some face toners that have alcohol and stuff like that will dry me out. Some face washes that have like glycolic acid or peels or anything like that can dry your face out. So for myself, I'm normal, and I do slightly get like just oil here and above the brows, especially when it's really hot. If you're super oily, then you're oily. Some people have combination skin, and the time of the year will play a big role in that too. You can look up like on Google how to find out my skin tone. Some of you guys might have like dry patches in some areas. I mean, everybody's going to be different. Everybody has different, some of you guys might even have like skin conditions. So just look it up, do your research, okay? So that's very important. Next, you need to know what type of coverage you want. Now, do you want a very light coverage, more of like a BB cream or something that's just going to add a little bit of color to even everything out? Do you want light coverage, medium coverage? Do you want to go full coverage? So those are two things that you need to keep in mind. Now, if you're somebody that just, barely started wearing makeup and you want to go in with like a light coverage, you want to stick to something that's very lightweight, more of like a CC cream, a BB cream, or like a tinted moisturizer. There's, what are those things called? There's like those FX and the Camouflage by Hard Candy drops that you guys can mix in with your moisturizer or with your primer and stuff like that if you want more of a light coverage. Now, if you do want a little more coverage, I would suggest taking a liquidy foundation that, you can dot on your face and, with your fingers kind of smear it out, and then a damp beauty blender will shear it out. Then you can always go back in and touch up those areas. Now, if you want more full coverage, you obviously need a little thicker foundation, or you can just build the coverage. Look for something that's a little more buildable. And then if you do want like full-on coverage, what you could do is find a full coverage foundation, and then if you really need that coverage, you guys can also set it, or you can find a powder that has more color to it, and then just go that way. Especially if you're oily, sometimes you guys will need to set your foundation because everything will shift around. Let's start off with dry skin. If you have dry skin, what you want to do is make sure that you moisturize your face really good. Don't over moisturize, don't make it super oily, because sometimes that will make foundation glide off your face. Some primers will make it fall apart. It's like if you grab water and you mix it with oil, you can see it separate. So always look into making sure that they're going to work together and not against each other. If you have oily skin, you want to go ahead and find a mattifying primer and some, what is it called? The Pore something. Maybelline has a matte poreless foundation, I think it's called. So you want to go with more of a matte primer, matte foundation. If you guys are in between, you guys can always set your T-zone if you have like dry skin or normal skin, but you do get like a little bit of oil around here, you can always set it. Now, if you are somebody with super dry skin, but you want more full coverage, just take a very light, fine powder to set your foundation. Get like a very luminous, dewy foundation, and then get like the Laura Mercier translucent powder or the RCMA. They are very finely milled, and just lightly dust those areas that you need to set. So like that, you know, it doesn't look all cakey. And then you can always apply MAC Fix Plus, and that's always going to help all the powder set in. So to find out your foundation shade is a little more complicated. A thing that I've noticed is very rare do I go out and find the perfect shade. Once in a blue moon, I find the exact shade I need. So if you don't have too much money, I would suggest going drugstore, and I would highly recommend L'Oreal True Match and L'Oreal Lumis, because they are in so many shades, especially L'Oreal True Match. You're going to find the neutral, the cool, and the warm tones, and you can mix and match. And the reason I'm saying go to the drugstore is because if you can't find that perfect shade, you're going to need to mix and match. Versus high-end, if like one of my favorites is Too Faced Born This Way. I think it's like $39. So if you need to mix two of them, you're gonna be paying like $40 each, so like $90 after taxes or something like that. That is pretty expensive. So if you're just starting off, you know, go ahead, go to the drugstore and mix and match some foundations. So it's going to probably be a good idea to have a darker and a light shade, because also in wintertime, obviously you're not tanning, you're not out in the sun much, it's a little colder, you're not getting, you know, a little color on you, so you're gonna be a lighter shade, and that's usually how it is for me. I have my light shade for the wintertime, and then I have my dark one for when, you know, I'm going to be tanning or self-tanning or whatever. I know that it could get a little pricey sometimes, but honestly, for you to find your perfect shade, it's going to be pretty hard unless you are somebody that has like just one color skin tone like all over, and some of us have like some areas where, you know, we're lighter and darker. So I feel like mixing your foundations is going to be the easiest thing to do. Some of you guys are gonna be like, well, how do I mix my foundations? What you do is you literally just take even amounts, and just like what I do is I shake up my bottle and I put it on my hand, and then I mix them up. Take a little bit, and then I put it on my neck and see if it disappears, and then right there I can be like, okay, well, it looks like it needs a little more color. You have to be a little chemist at home. You know, just tweak the colors, play with them until they come out right. Don't test it on your face, especially if you're somebody that doesn't tan your face or anything like that, because normally, if for like myself, my face is a lot more pale than my body because I don't tan my face or self-tan it. So you want to make sure that it's going to blend into your neck, because when you apply your foundation and you bring it down into your neck, you want them to match. You don't want to be all tan up here and then you're like orangey or white down here. That is like the worst thing you can do. That's like the biggest mistake that a lot of people do. Like they stop their foundation here. You always want to blend down your jawline into your neck, or even like a brush. If you find a powder or something like that that's the same color, then just bring it down and blend it in. So make sure that you guys always test here. Now, I've gotten so good at knowing my shade that I can actually test it on my hand. Never test it on your hand because it's never going to match your face. Remember, the neck is always the best area to test out foundations because you're going to be blending it down, okay? Another thing that I would recommend is if you do go to a department store and they color match you, with my personal experience, I'm going to say about 8 to 9 times out of 10, the shade has been incorrect and I end up going back. Reason being is sometimes you guys go in with foundation already on your face. What they do is they wipe it off a little bit, or sometimes they even put, it's happened to me, they even put it over your foundation you're wearing, and then they're like, okay, you're this shade, then you go home, it's the wrong shade. Another thing is they have artificial lighting, they have ring lights, they have that white, starky, bright in your face, you know, fluorescent light bulb, and you're gonna be like, oh yes, this matches. And then you go outside and you see a big old streak on your neck. That actually happened to my daughter, and it was horrible. Like I went to the Clinique counter, I picked it up, put it on my hand because like I said, I put it on my hand because I already know. And I'm like, okay, this is my shade. I grabbed it and then I let her do her thing because I didn't want to be anal, like I know what I'm doing. So she did it and I looked and I was like, okay, it's blending in this light, but I have a feeling when we go outside, it's not going to blend. Sure thing. We went outside, she had like a big old ashy like streak on her neck and I was like, crap. My daughter's actually really hard to match. I've gone through so many colors because she's yellow but she kind of has like an ash to her, and it's like sometimes you're going to be in between and it can be very difficult because especially if your tan is fading, sometimes that tan goes a little uneven, so it can be tricky. But like I said, play a little chemist, you know, at home. Play the chemist. Become a chemist when it comes to your foundation. So I would highly suggest that when you do go to a department store, you ask them for I would say maybe 2 shades, if they're nice, 3, like, you know, a light in between and a darker. So like that, when you go outside in your car, perfect. Open your little thing and then just be like, okay, this one, you know, because I have a feeling that if you guys are getting color matched inside the stores, your shade is going to be wrong because of the lighting. Something else to kind of keep in mind and remember is that all foundations and all brands and formulas are going to be different. I'll be one shade. Let's say that Maybelline has buff beige. Let's say L'Oreal has buff beige. It's not going to be the same. I've never encountered the same colors and the same names because sometimes they have like beige, natural beige. I've never been like, oh, in Maybelline, I'm natural beige. So that means L'Oreal and Revlon, I'm natural beige, because some of them will have the same names. Be careful because sometimes the formulas are different. Some might have more pink in them. Some might have more cool tones into them, more yellow. So always check the differences. And another thing is that sometimes those bottles are frosted or the glass is really thick and you can't tell, and you're like, okay, this might look like my shade, but it might not be because of the frosted bottle. And I know that sometimes it sucks when you can't open them, but remember, you can return makeup. Don't be ashamed if it doesn't match you. Don't just keep that foundation, let it go to waste. Go back, exchange it, even if they give you that evil eye, because I've gotten many evil eyes, especially at department stores. They can be really bitchy and rude, but you work hard for your money, so don't be ashamed to take it back and exchange it. But asking for samples is always a plus because you guys can, you know, go back home in your own comfort zone and play with things. When it comes to undertones, there's 3. You have the cool tone, the warm tone, and the neutral. For neutral, which sometimes I am, I go between warm and neutral depending if I'm tanned, if I haven't tanned, if I'm pale. So neutral is a mix of both. Now, if you are cool, you can be very fair skinned. You can have more of like those pinkish, grayish undertones. If you are warm, you're going to have more of like the yellow, olivey, which is what I am most of the time. But when I don't tan, I'm more of a neutral because I kind of go in between. So that can be really tricky. Somebody can say, oh, in this foundation, like the range is like your warm tone, you're actually going to fall in the warm tone category. But then in another foundation, you might be cool, which I've encountered that with L'Oreal. But what I do like about L'Oreal is that they have their cool, their natural, and their warm shades. And I know that some of them are for like normal skin and some for oily. If you look at the little bottles, actually, let me grab one to show you guys. I have tons of L'Oreal and I think I have more, but let me just show you the difference of when I go like straight up dark, I can go up to W8, which is actually really dark. When I put up my pale winter color, which is W4. If you guys look at this, you're gonna be like, how the hell do you pull off those 2 shades? And that's what I'm telling you guys. It just depends on how light you are, if you tan, if you self-tan. Sometimes I have to mix both of these because I'll be in between. I think right now, because I'm just starting to self-tan, I would be my W5, but I've also mixed a NC, I think it is that they have. I think they have NCs. I'm pretty sure they do, but I've actually mixed some of those with this because they can be tricky. Your skin can be tricky. Some of your areas of your face will be different colors, or your neck. So you might have to mix something up to match this, because if you're super pale up here, but you're very tanned because, you know, you tan your body but not your face, then you're definitely gonna have to mix and match them. If you are warm tone, you can find it pretty difficult to find foundations with more of a yellow undertone. I've encountered that so many times because they can be very warm for like that fake tan, self-tan warm color. So I recently found the NYX drops, and I have the box. Let me grab the box really quick. So when I do find a lot of foundations that are more of like the warm color with that warmth in it, but are lacking that yellowy undertone, I actually found the NYX in the drops. They're called the Total Control drops. I don't like these alone. I have a video on it, but these to change the color, to alter any color of like a warm or a darker one, these were bomb. My daughter actually finished the whole bottle. This is in the shade True Beige. This was like the perfect yellow. It was like yellow, yellow, yellow. Not like your stark white yellow, but like perfect for anybody that has a lot of yellow undertones, which is like people with olive tone and, you know, more of like that yellow base, like pale, not like white pale, but sometimes you can be pale and yellow. That makes any sense. But those are perfect to throw into any of your warm foundations. You could put a drop or two. It depends. You can work. Mix, mix, mix is going to be the way to find the perfect foundation. My daughter just had to mix those NYX drops with the Milani foundation, which I believe is like shade number 4 or something like that, because we can't get her right. It even sometimes, like if she doesn't mix them right, I could see it and we'll be driving on. I'm like, and she's like, Mom, I just don't know how to do it. You just have to mix, and then once you got it down, you'll be like, okay, shake it up. I need 2 dabs of the W5 and then 1.5 of the, you know, W2 or whatever. Once you get it down, you should be fine. It'll be quicker. I know it sounds very complicated, but honestly, I feel like mixing your foundations is going to be the perfect way to find that shade. And in the next video, I will be showing you guys which foundations I feel that work the best when you mix them, which are probably going to be my L'Oreal's, the Maybelline, what are they called? These right here. Let me show you guys. And my daughter has more of these. I'm telling you guys, these are perfect for more affordable drugstore mixing purposes. Your L'Oreal Lumi and True Match and the Maybelline, they have a dewy and a matte poreless. Like I said, in the summertime, I actually mix my dewy with my matte one because I need that extra coverage, and that sweat's gonna make me, you know, break down. So I will talk about that a little more in the other video, but I'm telling you guys, getting 2 or 3 shades and mixing them sometimes, get them when it's buy one get one half off or something like that. Look for a coupon, or just, you know, save a little bit of money, because you can get, what are these, like, I think these are actually like $5 or $6 at Walmart. So you can get like, if they're only $5 or $6, which I'm pretty sure I've seen them for like $5 or $6, you would drop what, under 20 bucks actually, depending on where you live, for 3 different shades versus like 1 high end. And sometimes the high end ones are not going to be the perfect shade. Another thing that you guys can do is go online, and they show you for the cool, warm, and neutral. They show you if your cool tone, this color of jewelry is going to match, and then they talk about the veins, your vein color, because a blue vein will be telling you guys that you're cool toned, and then a green vein means that you're warm. But sometimes you'll have both of them. I don't know if you guys can see mine. Mine, when I look at them, they're green, but then I have very small blue ones, and that's probably why I can be neutral sometimes. It works really weird, but that's how it works, and that's what I have found that has been the best way for me to get the perfect foundation, and it's mixing. There's no secret to it other than you just playing chemist and figuring out which foundations work better, you know, on your skin. And then remember, if you're oily, you gotta make sure that's something that's matte. If you're dry, want something that's dewy, or, you know, maybe finish it off with MAC Fix Plus, or, you know, avoid powder. You know, common sense. If you guys have any questions, or if I left something out, just leave them down below. I will try my very best to get the next video up in about a week or less. If you guys have special requests, leave them down below. I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Instagram, Snapchat at the one and only Maria. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later. Mwah. Bye.